On the second morning of my trip to Ukraine, I left the monastery that I was sleeping in downtown Lviv, and I was met by a wonderful young man named Andrii. I had no idea why I was going to visit a college, but the person who was helping me, the angel on my shoulder, Yuri, back in the United States, he had arranged a meeting for me at the Ukrainian Catholic University. And it was beyond me. I didn't understand. I mean, the day before I was with chaplains. I was at the Garrison Church. I was involved with military chaplains trying to understand the role of the Catholic faith in the conflict and the tension of war, and how it was healing and how it was serving people and how it was building courage and hope among the Ukrainian community. I didn't understand why it was so important that I had to go and see this college. However, there was something interesting about it that I really wanted to dig into, which was to have sort of the perspective from the young adult Ukrainian and what the future for them looks like. And not necessarily, I wasn't so concerned with the people over 30. Of course, I mean, I was concerned about them, but I really wanted to learn on the second day what the, what the generation that were the same age as my own children, what their future looked like. What did they think? And it was in very short time that after talking to Andrii, who was a theology student at UKU, or Ukrainian Catholic University, that I learned how incredibly important this place was. This was not only the only faith-based learning institution in the country, but it was the only Catholic one. I should say that the other way around. It's not only the only Catholic or Christian faith-based college, but it was Catholic. And why it was so important was because when Ukraine wins this war, which of course we believe they will, that this university, which is going very, very strong, will be able to rebuild the nation with Christian fundamentals in place. And you're going to have well-formed engineers and educators and physicians coming out of higher education from here. So I am pretty quickly came to understand how massively important UCU was. Now, when I arrived there, Andrii gave me this tour of the campus, which was really cool. And I came to discover the value that people of special needs have within this community. And one of the most magical things that I encountered was how the dorms at UKU have a person, like a prefect or a resident, that is in a wheelchair or has special needs, or as Andrii showed me that the community that live in the dorms with Down syndrome, as apparently as Archbishop Boris Gudziak explained, these are people who already have masters in humanity. The people with Down syndrome, they already understand unconditional love. So for you as students to be exposed in a living space with these people, it's only going to help you to better understand true humanity. And how beautiful is that? How powerful is that for our young people? So that left an impression on me. What came out of this experience was not only going to mass and seeing a huge church packed with young people, going to Vespers with college students. I mean, who'd have thunk that? It was just, the faith there was so immense. But this video is about my conversation that I had with 4 young college students, Andrii included, 2 young ladies, 2 young men, talking about the future of Ukraine from their perspective. And I'd love it if you spent some time here with them and you heard how I felt uncomfortable with my questions after I asked them because of their answer. I felt as though my questions were uninformed. I felt, I wouldn't say embarrassed about my questions, But I came to really understand the young people of Ukraine after this conversation. And I began to understand what I would learn later after speaking to a priest about how Ukraine cures imposters. And this means that for the young people, they're not able to allow social media or allow media in any way to form some type of imposter syndrome within them, and they take on an identity that isn't truly theirs. However, they live in a place where they have their own very unique identity, and this comes out in this conversation. So I look forward to you sharing this time with these incredible students, these young people of Ukraine, and being able to get a unique perspective on how the youth look to the future, and more specifically, youth from the Catholic University, from faith formation, look to the future of their country and the place that they're in right now in a country at war.
Okay. I want to thank all of you for taking a couple minutes to speak with me here. I'd like to just kind of go around, if you could just do an introduction, who you are, also how long you've been studying, and what it is that you're studying here at the university.
Okay, my name is Mary. I'm from Ternopil. It's a city on the west of Ukraine. I'm studying here in Ukrainian Catholic University for 2 years, and I'm studying social work. I also sing in a students' choir and like music and people around.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Jean. Originally, I'm from France, but I spent 12 years of my life in Ukraine. Then in 2021, I went back to France to study, and last year I came here. Now I'm first year studying law at Tokyo.
Okay, so my name is Andrii. I'm originally from Ternopil region, on my second year of theology. Also, I sing in our students' choir, play in the band, love music, hiking, people. That's it.
My name is Yuri. I'm studying with Mary on my second year of university. I've studied social work. It's my second degree. First degree was psychology. I can say I'm a volunteer, like activist, and also I'm in a Scout organization called FLOST, and I'm from Lviv originally.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank all four of you for joining me and taking some time out this morning to have this conversation. Back in the United States, one of the ways that a lot of people view Ukraine and some of the concerns that a lot of people have is for the young people. I know as a parent of 4 kids myself, I have children, 24-year-old, I have a 21-year-old, I have a 19-year-old, and I have a 14-year-old. And I know as a parent, one of the things that we're concerned about is the young people of Ukraine. And we see things in the news where kids are getting taken off the street to go to the front. Kids are, just conscripts are being thrown into the front line. But when you come to Ukraine, one of the first things I realized in Lviv was that there's young people everywhere. And I come to this university and I see all that's happening here. I'd like to start the conversation with, what does it feel like right now? Is there a sense of concern that you have? Is there a sense of worry? Is there anxiety? Or is there a sense of confidence and pride? What does it feel like right now to be a young person, a young adult in Ukraine?
Well, I can start from the thing that lots of friends of mine, people of my age, are right now basically in 2 categories. They're whether studying or holding weapons on the front lines and risking their lives every day for us, those who are in the western parts of Ukraine or a bit further from the actual fighting. So we have a possibility to get a degree, and to support our country in the way we're gifted and we are able to. But actually, right now, You have to always be very patient about yourself and state of your health and your friends, because anytime there might be a need to change those in the front lines. So about anxiety and stuff, I don't think that it's much of a helpful feeling. It's rather about responsibility. And are we sometimes getting tired of, feeling so responsible? Because you're, for example, 18, 19 or 21 years old, and you already have to, think about your duties to your nation and things. Well, yeah, it might get tired, but then you think about those who are in front lines and they're not allowing themselves to get tired. So we're just trying our best, what's it in our power to be a good backbone for them, And there are lots of initiatives from young people, students, and other organizations trying to help those who are fighting right now. So I guess responsibility is the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, for us here in Ukraine, tomorrow isn't promised, but still.
Tomorrow isn't promised.
Yes, well, we have to hope for the best, but prepare ourselves for the worst. And as Andrii said, we have two categories now: the one study and the one fight. Well, it's the way it should be, I guess.
It's a really hard question, because I don't wanna represent all of the youth, because I'm another human being and I have another social bubble. I have another background, but speaking, I think from my social bubble, it's really, I can't even explain how hard it is to be in this generation, because and especially when the full-scale invasion started. To speak about faith, I think a lot of people, not only youth, lost their faith in any religion, because what? Why us? We didn't do anything wrong. And 10 years later on, people are dying every day. And I know that the people all over the world, they are dying from different disease, but it's kind of unfair. And even before the full-scale invasion, before the war, we have our other problem that people died every day also too, and it's +1. And now earlier I heard a lot of stuff you told that in 10 years or in the future we will be responsible for that country, how we see it. But it's so sad, because when the not fully scale invasion, when the war started in 2014, I was 10 years old, and I didn't take responsibility for the action of my parents or my grandparents, and I'm facing this tragedies and all of the things that they bring by their choices. And now when my parents, when other grown-ups telling me that I will be responsible for this country, what I will do, I should study, blah blah blah, what you done before, that now it's my responsibility. I understand that later when I will have kids, it will be how do you say it will go on, and it's we giving the estafette, and it's really sad to understand it. And about faith, I think a lot of people lost it, but now we have fourth year of full-scale invasion. I lost count, and I think because we don't it's not ending, and people going back to faith because what we should do, or we go to the front line, and a lot of people find faith there because you can die every moment. And I think people start to find faith here also, because it's really hard to live even I don't like about the army, it's another topic, but the responsibilities and what you're facing here, like you don't know what you want to, not what you want to do, like what to do in general, because like we can say that we like every action is like a drop in the ocean, but the ocean is making it out of drops, but I can do everything that I can, and in the future it will be like so small drop that you're losing like motivation, what you can like what can happen. And I have kind of pessimistic thought about this, I think, but
Did you say optimistic?
pessimistic.
Oh, pessimistic. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like what's in my mind right now. Earlier I was more optimistic about that, but yeah, I think to be you, like young people in this generation, in this like country, it's so exhausting and it's so hard, because like older people, they don't think that about their actions, they don't think that, oh, I should make a research to think who I will vote on, like the or president or parliament, mayor, everything. They just, I have my duties, I have my family, I care about it, but and I understand it, because like they have like low salary, they have other like, I don't know, children with disabilities, and I think about like their family, and it's important for them. But at the end, like we as a, I like the thought that active people rule the, like active menschis.
The minority.
Active minority rule the world, and it's a responsibility of us. Like, because a lot of people don't care, they have their reason to don't care. And now we should take the wheel of this of process to make something work. It's really, it's kind of hard, and even me, I thought a lot of times to just join the army. It feels like an easy way. Yeah, I can die, but at this age, you don't have your own family. You don't really know who you are, who you want to be, kinda. And it's like on the front line, it's like black and white. You have one goal to kill and to stay alive. That's all. And it's really привабливо.
Detracts, yeah.
Attracts. Yeah. That's what is.
Wow, thanks for sharing that.
For me personally, you ask about the feelings. I feel that responsibility, and then I thought what I can do, and I understand that I'm on the front lines,
Won't be able to.
You cannot be helpful.
I cannot be helpful, and then you understand that you need to do everything that you can to on the place that you are, because if you don't helpful on the front line, you can do everything to support the army. And
You should do everything. No.
we should do, and if you go abroad, for example, I was in Rome this summer, and you see how the people of your age live their life, and you live in the country of war and think why I can't live my life like that. And then you start to find some senses in your life, and to think how I can live this life properly, because I have only one.
It almost sounds like, from what I'm hearing, is that you almost feel a little bit trapped. Am I hearing that right? That there's almost this unfairness that you're looking towards, where you honor all of those in your same age group who are fighting. And I even hear that you're honoring education and the possibility for going forward in life. However, you feel right now trapped that other people are making decisions for you. Would that be accurate? Am I hearing that right?
Well, I guess as for me, for example, like since a few months ago, it's got possible for male to leave country before you turn 23. I mean, I'm 21 right now. All my family is abroad, but I'm not taking this option because, like, I'm thinking, okay, if there'll be a day for me to take a weapon to fight, if I won't do that and other of my friends will reject it, then who will stop Russians, okay? And so they won't stop on the if they'll go further, yeah, they won't stop on the western border of Ukraine, and it's clearly, if you listen to what their leaders and what like simple people tell about their ambitions, and I'm just thinking, like, for me, does our country looks like a big ship with a few holes in it? Well, it does, but
So you can't leave the country as a male under 23?
No, you can't.
well, you can under 23. You can
Under 23.
Yeah, but after 23,
After 23.
you cannot. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, that if we won't stop them here, if I'll, for example, migrate to Poland or somewhere else, they'll just come there, you know. So there is a saying. I'll say it in Ukrainian and then try to translate. So, краще вмерти біжучи, ніж жити гниючи. It's better to die running than to live rotting. Yeah, you know, because I imagine myself, for example, being in I don't know, in Poland, let's say, and seeing from the news my village or university campus being captured by Russians. Like, come on, you know. So I guess one of the main things which the full-scale invasion told us and taught us, and what our friends and relatives there are teaching us, that there are things that are bigger than you and for which you should be ready to live for in a struggle, you know, and to die for if needed. So yeah.
Yeah, I wanna add that you said, like, about trap, that is it that right? I was thinking about that, and I can say that it's like totally true, because we can see a lot of people, like even young or like older men, families leaving the country, so they are not trapped. The thing that we are sitting here having this conversation, and I'm studying in my city in this university, is also my choice, because in the when the full-scale invasion started, my family wanted to send me abroad, but because I have this, like, the way I was raised, my, like, the people that I was attached to, and about my mindset, I said no, I will die here. Like, like, everyone didn't know what will happen, like if they came here or not. But from the young age, I was in national organization called class, and we were volunteering before it started mainstreaming, very popular, and it raised me, and I understood, like, no, I really appreciate the people that I was around, what they taught me, like, and people who are living, like, escaping, and when the full-scale invasion started, or even before, it means that they didn't or they didn't have a choice because they didn't have a house, or they just can't see their future maybe here, and that's okay. Like, they had another society around them, they was raised another way. But I'm staying here not because of some, like, I want to defend my country, like politician. I'm not staying like for them. I'm staying for my family because I don't want to leave them. I'm staying for my friends because also I think it will be so hard to make new connection like abroad, because people have some stereotypes and I don't want to do that. And it's my choice to be here. It's trapped. I can say I'm trapped by the actions of other people that like
Inspire you.
events that they bring, like older generation, but not the like I'm trapped in the country. It's my choice. I could leave to Poland. I know English. I can make it work. And to be honest, I was in work and travel program in USA like for 4 months, and it was so hard. And I can imagine live my life abroad when you have like are in your country and you have a family and friends here, because all of you think about it. You like monitor air alarms. I didn't have we have the app about air alarms, and I don't have it. I never downloaded it here because I can hear it and I like, we in Lviv, I don't really care about it, to be honest. It's pretty safe. But when I went to abroad, I downloaded to know where the air alarm in my city, so that I can feel the same kind of what my family and my friends feel. And you always in this anxiety, because it's better to be in danger with them, but you know that you're surrounded and you living the same living the same emotion, the same events with them, than to be safe in another country alone, finding what you will do, and no one understands you and no one understands what you're going through. It's more harder than you can think of, to be honest. And we're not trapped. We're trapped by the
Decisions.
story, history,
Yes,
but
we
not.
want to say that we're not trapped in like borders of country. We're trapped that we live in this period of time of other country. This history, like.
That's sad.
You just can't skip it, you know.
As students of Catholic University, how important is faith in Christian faith in the formation of the future of the country after the war or coming out of the war? And what role does that play?
Well, as for me, as for theology student, you know, faith is a bit of a struggle in terms of, for example, classical situation, air alarm, beginning of a semester, you go down to the shelter, you meet people, and they say, "Oh, you study theology, right?" And I say, "Yes." So explain us what's going on, like the good God, the crazy stuff in the world, and you're like, you know, you're really getting like wypróbujesz, tak, swój wiarę.
You challenge your faith.
Yeah, you challenge your faith in a great manner, because you have to give answers to people who lost their sleep this night, you know, who lost their friends, who lost their arm or leg, and you're like, you know, a faithful person. So explain us.
What are your answers?
It depends, you know, because sometimes you just can't answer, and because why can't we answer? Well, I guess I'm just thinking about you know, Moses and Jews walking for 40 years. I'm not sure if he always could give an answer to his people, like, what's going on, you know, what's the plan for today? I don't know, doing things, you know, trying to stay, like, trying not to become crazy, and that's it. And I guess a good challenge in all that kind of stuff. But it's one thing talking about the good God, you know, when you're in, I don't know, in St. Peter's basilica in Rome, for example, and you see all this kind of beauty and stuff. And I remember previous year when I was with my friends visiting the Zaporizhia region, we were singing there and having prayers. And we had one prayer in a tent, and it's another way of experiencing God. And so sometimes it's hard to explain. You just have to go through it. But I don't know. For me personally, I don't know if I'll be able, to stay here without the faith, because there's too much uncertainty, and faith is a proof of things you can't see yet. So, do I see a bright future? Well, it's hard to see it, but we gotta believe, because if we won't, we lost already. And that's for me.
Well, I want to say that there are people who say you have to love your country so much you are willing to die for it. Well, of course, there have to be people who are willing to pay the ultimate price, but also there have to be people who are loving the country so much they want to live for it. Well, sometimes it might be even more difficult, like seeing the country in our situation, and as my friends say, well, we might get sometimes pessimistic about the future, but well, as our religion says, you have to carry a cross because, well, life gets sometimes hard, it gets unfair, but still you have to expect something better to come. You have to hope, because, well, sometimes the only thing we have to do is, well, hope and do our best.
Do you all have hope?
Yeah, yes, I do have hope.
Sure. Because I think without hope in this
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Say no.
Well, without hope, it would be certainly difficult. Sometimes, Peter.
Yeah, I think people without hope committing suicide. It's really hard to live without hope and without seeing yourself in the future and what you can do. Because if it's like everything is dark, like why you should live? So yeah.
When everything's dark, you have to be light.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think hope is this light.
And also if we the history of Ukraine, during the Soviet period, the church was that thing. It was forbidden, but it was the thing that saved our some cultural traditions, some identity, some Ukrainian identity, and brings it to our period. It was not that.
This question is more for the ladies, if that's okay. You had said something about being in Rome and the feelings that you had witnessing other people of your age. And then living abroad and moving abroad, yet I'm hearing at 23, you have to stay. In the United States, what we witnessed when the war started was women and children to the borders and men to and go in the other direction. And there was this real sort of apparent difference suddenly where in the West, in the United States, there's this fight for, this ongoing fight for equality that women have. There's this ongoing, whether it be in the identity community, and what's your sexual identity, and all this vagueness that's happening, and all this constant tension that's happening. But in Ukraine, we saw all of a sudden, when the bombs start falling, women and children go that way, men get a rifle and go that way. And it was this very black and white experience that we witnessed. And it caused a lot of questions. It was an interesting moment. And I see you shaking your head, and I think I understand why. But I'd like you to speak to that experience and what the truth is around that for that audience who saw something different, but I'm sure you probably experienced something different.
I can say that we witnessed, that a lot of male, like mostly male, went to the front line, but now we have like 40% or 35% of the army it's a women, and it's like we're going to that, and we also have this like about equality that women have want to have the same rights. Why they don't go to the front? Like they go, but when I have a lot of my girl friends that went to the army. I have like 5 of them, and they giving the interview how hard it is to be in the male community, that they don't even, you have motivation, you want the women who go to the army, they so motivated more than some men's go to the army, but the difficulties that they are facing too, it's the people that don't taking them like serious, that we don't have the women uniforms, we don't have women like yes, bronzeжилет.
Vest, protect
Vest.
body armor.
Yeah, we I heard a lot of like this kind of men talked about why women don't go to the army, because they started talking about the women going to the army only when they, oh no, we should go. Before we didn't even talk about it, like no, army is for men, blah blah blah. Now you have the
Duty.
not duty, but now you have the не висновок, типу своїх дій, що
As a
не висновок. Плід своїх як.
fruit of your actions.
Yeah, before you should think about that, how women can join to the army before the war started, and make this not community but space more comfortable for them, so everyone can join. But now when it's facing you and you don't have like kind of choice, you're talking about women. Really? And a lot of women got sexualized in the battalions, like their
army units.
army units, and it's so hard to be a soldier as a woman, to be honest. I'm not a soldier, I can speak for them, but it's what I heard out of interviews and this, like their experience. And about the like women and children go abroad, it's because women have children and father can take kind of I don't want to say like proper big women going with children because they have children and they want to save them, and that the fathers go up front. It's like, if you don't go, they can switch the roles. Why not? They have this. No, they don't have this. I forgot. Sorry, but
You've already talked a bit about your future, but is there any last words that you'd like to share? Anything that really is kind of has been on your mind or that you want to share?
we don't need your pity. We need your weapon. Like, to be honest, we can handle it by ourselves. We don't need your, like, we have a lot of wars in this world, right? And Ukraine is not like
The only.
the only victim of the unfair situation of history. Every country have their own history. I stopped to talking everything about Russian-Ukraine war when I was going abroad, because I started like when I was 18. I went to a lot of volunteering abroad with refugees, blah blah blah, and I was like meeting a lot of people from other countries, and I was saying, "Oh, Ukraine that, Russian that, our history, blah blah blah," and I understood that, to be honest, who cares? Like, there are so small % of people who actually care and doing stuff like you, or coming volunteering here, or donating. We really appreciate it. But the середньостатистичний average person don't really care about that because they have their problems, their families, and Ukraine is far away, and we can handle it. We handle it in like 10 years. generation goes, and we will, the moment come, we will handle that. And we just need resources. I know that it's mostly about the money, but it's like human lives, and I don't think it can like rotate by the money. So I will ask sincerely that what you can do, at least just give your weapons. Not all of them, but like that we can take responsibility for action of our parents, of our grandparents, of the kind of the Russian side, because they do something, or the other side that don't do anything to stop it.
Well, I would say that you shouldn't take everything you have for granted. You should be grateful for what you have because, well, it can be taken from you any moment. Be kind, I guess. That's all I like to say.
I'm thinking that first thing, try to live a thoughtful life, you know, because we usually get into, you know, just repeating things and stuff. But take every day like a moment, 20 minutes of silence to think like, what's really going on in my life? Like, what's important to me, and where those things are leading me, you know. And try to think about eternal things. If you do so, I guess your life will shine in a bit different colors. It will have more sense, because I guess the pitiest thing is to when you are old, to look back and say like, well, I could have done better, you know. so yeah, try to think about eternal before it's too late.
Мені скажу українською. Мені хочеться, щоб за кордоном люди знали Україну не як просто якусь країну в рухах, яка має тільки війну, і в нас все погано.
Можна перекласти?
Та-да.
Maria says that she'd like foreigners to not only know Ukraine as a ruined country, you know.
In a war, but also, але також як країну, яка має дуже багато, дуже велику історію, дуже багато досягнень, яка є досить розвинутою, і яка може бути якби конкурентоспроможною і досить хорошою в Європі. І що це країна, за яку потрібно боротися, за нація, це прогресивних людей, за яких треба боротися.
Що це не лише it's not only a country in a war, it's also a country with a great history, with great people who are making good progress in different kind of spheres, and that it's worth fighting for and caring for, that we are competitive, that we can give, not only take things from the world, but we also can give a lot of stuff back. But so that's it, that we are not, you know, just jak to żartuje, victims, yeah. We are friends, you know.
Yeah. I want to thank you guys for this. This is pretty cool, and it's helped me to understand a little bit better too how you view the world, how you view the situation. Because sometimes from outside, it's hard to understand what's happening inside. So, one of the things that I was sharing with Andrii on the way over was he had mentioned that, and we have it tough, right? And what I noticed yesterday when I was going to get a cup of coffee is when the whole country stops at 9 o'clock for a moment of silence. The United States, America has had the war for independence, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and then Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, all these wars, and we forget everything. We just move on. 9/11 happened, and this generation today has completely forgotten. We don't have that silence. And when I see the whole country stop and people put away their phones, people get out of their cars, the traffic stops, everything stops. As an American, I look at that and I say, I wish I had what you had. That's strong. It's really amazing to see. And I hope that you guys, as young people, as you grow older, I mean, you keep that, because that's incredible. It really inspired me. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Come
you.
to Fresh Sweat.